Like there are certain brands, certain models where the reliability reputations are poor. If you intend to keep them for long, just don't buy those. And on our channel, at least, it's super clear as to what we think those machines are. But outside of that, regular maintenance plus common sense is basically all you need to keep vehicles around for as long as you like.
The only thing I'm going to reiterate over there, depending on your usage, how the wear and tear happens can be more or less. And that you should be careful about, because we've seen people try and drag on brakes saying, hurry, brake pads should be fine. But if you're a heavy user, if
Yeah.
you're not careful, if you're going on, you have your light foot on the brake, the wear and tear is going to happen. You're going to eat through disc brakes. You're going to, as in, you're going to eat through the discs, the pads. It will, of course, also upset your engine. So pay more attention to how you're driving, riding.
Super point.
And you should be careful about how you use the vehicle in the smaller ways, because that can change what the maintenance requirement is. Like, for instance, in our Ignis's case, like Vanita's thing is, I don't want to slow down for potholes. I know our suspension has worn out faster than I would expect on an
Correct.
Ignis. But am I upset about it? No, because
No, and I think the key thing here is to recognize your own pattern and be aware of how you drive. It can sometimes give you an impetus to learn to do better, and sometimes it's just a matter of awareness. You don't have to change a thing. Like Vanita, for example, she drives just fine. She has this thing where I don't want to slow down for potholes. This adds up to a little bit extra maintenance on the suspension front, and if you're comfortable with that trade-off, which he is, why should we
Yeah.
worry at all?
I don't worry about it at all. I said, you use it. There's enough ground clearance. The suspension will deal with it. We have to fix it earlier. That's fine. That's part of the calculation.
Yeah. No, and when I had the street triple, first service or second service, we're going to have to change off our brake pads. Second service, brake pads? Why? Rear brake pads will be gone for sure. Rear brake pads will be gone for sure. I don't even touch that lever.
This is tram service.
Tram service. So what they were doing was they were making an assumption based on the usage pattern that they were seeing. And remember, a street triple is early superbike. So you're going in traffic, you're using all the acceleration, then you're using lots of brakes to slow down for traffic, then you're doing it again and again and again. So you are causing a lot of wear. If you're scared of the bike, a lot of people will also, instead of closing the throttle, they will bleed the clutch a little bit. And that's how they wear out clutches also.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you're going to have to change brake pads, it'll be the front. I would be surprised if my rear brake pads look anything other than new. And when they started working on the bike, they realized that that was actually the case. My fronts were 20% gone or something ridiculously low number like that, and my rear was basically brand new. And then I knew that I use clutches, for example, really, really sparingly. So my Ducati's clutch at 60,000 kilometer felt new to the point where the service advisor said, why are you changing clutch plates outside? You should be doing it with us.
At 60K.
And I said,
Wow.
I haven't done anything to my clutch. My KTM clutch is still I think we changed it as a precaution 5,000 kilometers ago, and it's about 32 or something. No, 40-ish now. 38 or something it is now. Something.
That's incredible.
Right? So I know that my pattern is that I don't abuse my clutches too much. I know that my pattern is my front disc brakes pads will wear a lot. My rear discs will not wear a lot. Now I know the pattern. The pattern is if my front lasts say 9,000 kilometers, then my rear will last 18,000 kilometers. And I'm aware of how I drive and ride now. So I can predict what's going to happen next. So if I'm going on a long trip and I'm at this 9,000, 18,000 point, I just go to the guy and give him the brake pad and say, might as well replace it. I'm going for a long trip.
Right.
And if there's 2,000 kilometers left on the old disc brake, I'll leave it in my tank bag as a backup. Saying if something happens to this new brake pad, I have a backup set that will get me home. We are good. You don't need more than this. It's the same. I get a lot of queries saying which spark plug to put, which oil to use, which brake fluid brand is better than the other one. Should you flush an engine? Honestly, you don't need to worry about any of these things. To me, the most tested fluids available are the ones that the OEM has already put. You may not agree that they're the highest quality possible, and I'm not saying they are. I'm saying they are the most tested. They are the most validated fluids available. So my bike for the longest time has run whatever the manufacturer happens to put in it. I refuse to spend brain power on this. Is it synth? Is it semi? Is it mineral? I don't care. Did it come from Rakesh Chemicals? Did it come from Castrol? Did it come from Shell? Honestly,
if tomorrow Suzuki tells me put chocolate fudge in the Busa,
I'm okay.
I'll put it.
Yeah.
Full stop. They've
Right.
done the processing. I'm okay.
And to me, what I'm trusting is the fact that the OEM spends the most amount of time validating that their vehicles will be reliable. And it does raise a question about how much do you trust which brands. And obviously, the conventional wisdom is the Japanese are the most thorough. It's not like the Indians are bad. The Chinese are regarded as even worse than this. So in that sense, we are not doing too badly. And the Europeans sit somewhere in that scale, etc. And you can figure out your comfort level. My point is, will I change a spark plug because iridium and 4 prongs? Not really. I'm not at a racetrack, and that delta of 2% performance or whatever I'll get makes no sense to my life.
2% is also too much for
I
just
don't.
for that.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not important. What spark plug is recommended? Put that spark plug. We are done with spark plugs until the manual says, okay, now it's on the Ducati. I think it's at 30,000 kilometers. You change all spark plugs. Desmo service. It's part
Right.
of it. We'll change it. When they took out the timing belt of the Ducati at Desmo service, which is an expensive part, it looked okay. Yeah, but it says change it. Change it. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to come back 15,000 kilometers later and then have the engine opened again to change one timing belt.
Correct.
Today is the day to do it because the manual says do it. This is how they validated the reliability of this machine.
Correct.
We will follow that schedule. Do you want to go to a higher grade of oil? Why? Why are you wasting money? I would rather you run a higher grade of fuel instead. And that too intermittently so that the additives can clean your injectors a little bit. But I'm quite happy to, if the manufacturer doesn't say this requires speed power type additive grade fuels, I am not putting it. But Zubin says, for example, he sees a benefit, my mechanic. Zubin says, I see a benefit if every 2, 3, 4 months you put one full tank of additive fuel, run that tank out, and then go back to running normal fuel. So that if there is any gumming, anything, the detergents in that premium grade fuel will wash those off.
Correct.
That's it. When I don't use a machine very regularly, which happens if I'm traveling a lot, then I will remember that at next service, I will want them to ultrasonic clean the injectors out. So that if there's any gumming from the standing, we are covered. But this is all essentially common sense.
Hello. Did we catch you while you were doom scrolling? Well, let's make this better. Use your time by heading over to MotorInc, the main channel, and you'll find this conversation in its fuller, more detailed version, which might be a better way to spend your time right now.